For more on Netflix earnings reaction, let's bring in Loup Ventures founder, fast money friend Gene Munster for more reaction. Gene, what do you make of this big miss? How would you explain 2.7 million versus 5 expected?
Well, they probably pulled $1 million forward from the December quarter, but that still doesn't really capture the significance of that miss.
Well, then they should have accounted for that in their guidance, right? They should have said 4 instead of 5.
Yeah, it was. I've listened to your commentary. I don't like to pile on when things are negative, but I just want to try to have a most clear view of what's going on. And what's happened, even if you account for a pull forward that they didn't give proper guidance for, this is negative. And this, I think we're going to look back at this quarter as one of the pivotal moments in the Netflix story. And I think what the key insight here is that the content lineup that they had in the June quarter just simply didn't get the job done. And we can talk about what's coming in terms of competition, but ultimately that is the tip of the spear at this story. And when you put a layer on top of that content, and things are going to get more difficult, when you layer on top of that the valuation, and I want to enumerate that, 52 times next year's earnings, and that's on this lower stock price. Compare that to Apple at 15, just as a point of reference. And then you add the debt piece, which we have not talked about. I think it's somewhere between 10 and 12 billion in debt. I think you could start to see why it's not necessarily this quarter is the breakdown for the future, but I think we will look back as this quarter as representative of the best days of Netflix are behind it.
So that's what you believe, that we've seen the best days of Netflix, they're over?
I think we have. I think they may have an anomaly quarter, but when you put all these factors together in terms of the pricing that you've talked about, in terms of the debt, the valuation, upcoming competition, what their content roadmap looks like, I just, as much as I love the company, I just think it's going to be, its best days, unfortunately, are in fact behind it.
How concerned are you that Netflix's ability to raise price is severely curtailed at this point, given the competition on the horizon?
It's definitely curtailed. The competition, like you said, it's not about the pricing piece. Is not about what happened as much in the June quarter as much as what's coming up. We're talking about 4 major new competitors coming in the next year. And so I think that will impact pricing. And of course, we know the model. We've talked about it here today, is that you got to keep the subs going to keep funding the content, to paying off the debt. It is wonderful when it's working, but if it starts to backtrack. My one question going into the interview tonight, I think that's how they refer to it, is that guidance is they're sending a message that they're going to just step right back up to normalcy. And I understand that they have a good start for the month of July. But even if they are able to step back up to that, call it 6.5 to 7 million range, which is consistent with the average number of subs they've added over the last 4 years, 6.5, even if they're able to step up to that, I don't think that will be sustainable.
So, Gene, when you look back, and I agree with you, it's a terrible number, but when you look back on it, how much did Game of Thrones have to do with this? And with the stock down now 12%, at what point is it a buy, even if the best days are behind it? At what point does it collapse enough for you to buy it?
Don't have a good answer on Game of Thrones. It had an impact, but they knew that was coming. In terms of where would I buy it, probably kind of around that 15 multiple, so a ways down from where we're at.
All right, Gene, grade the quarter, please.
I'm going to give it a C-. I struggled, and I wanted to give it, thought about D+, because if you miss back in elementary school, if you come up with 46% short of perfect, that to me is a D. But they did grow subs, and so I wanted to give them some credit for that. So to answer your question, Melissa, C-.